So you downloaded OBS Studio and you've run it and you're looking at exactly what you see here in front of you on my screen. So let me explain to you what you're looking at here, because it's a bit daunting. I got it, don't worry, I understand. So on the right hand side, this is kind of what you're sending to the internet. This is your stream. In my particular case, this is what I'm recording. So this is sort of the thing that you're putting out there into the world. On the left hand side, however, this is where you're able to make tweaks, make changes. Basically, this is what's kind of allowing me to make this video, because I can record over here whilst also showing you how to do setup over here. It's very, very convenient. And one of the things I really like about OBS Studio is that it allows you to kind of make changes on the fly. Now, previously with programs like XSplit and OBS Classic, you sort of had to, if like, for example, I don't like where the position of this webcam, I want you to be able to see the tail ends of my plaids. So previously I would have had to like pull my stream down, make the change, and then bring it up again. It's not super easy to change things on the fly, or I'd have had to shift to a different scene, make a bunch of changes. It would have been really difficult, and then pull it back up again. With OBS Studio, it's really, really easy. So I moved my webcam around so that you can see the tail ends of my braids, and then I can just hit this transition button in the middle. And now what I'm recording and sending out to you, the wonderful people of the internet, is the thing that I wanted it to be. So I can pull this back down again so you can only see my eyes. Spooky, spooky. I can hit the transition. Ooh, so scary. And I can pull it back up again and then hit the transition again. And we're back to seeing my whole hairdo. So let's get me out of the way a little bit and start talking about exactly how to get this stuff set up. So we've kind of understood what these two panels are for, and now let's explain these ones across the bottom right here. So starting from the left, because it's a good enough place, scenes. Now these are sort of your folders. I kind of like to think of them as folders. They're a collection of things which you send to the internet. So you won't start with anything in here. I have a desktop capture going on, and that's basically what I'm using to talk to you right now. That's what I'm using to record this video. So within my desktop capture scene, I have several things. I have my C920, which is my webcam. I can use this little eye here to make it invisible again. And obviously, because I didn't hit the transition, the video wasn't affected by that. I have my left monitor, which I can switch on and off. It's got some music in there. And I've got my central monitor, which is what I'm using to show you this. So I'm not going to hide that one and show it again, because that would be stupid. And you can reprioritize these, you can do all manner of things, which we'll get to in a second, but this is kind of the files within your folder. So your scene is your folder, these are the things within that folder, if that makes sense. And then we've also got a mixer section, which has volume sliders within it. So you can see here that we've got desktop audio, which if I had music playing, that would be coming through here. If my game had game sounds playing, that would be coming through here. And then we've got the mic stroke aux section here. So within these you have settings things, you can go into properties, and you can see here that there's several microphones I could be using, but I'm using my Yeti stereo microphone. Same applies for desktop audio, there's properties sections there. So this section here, scene transitions, is set to fade. Basically just leave that alone, don't worry about that. And again, leave this alone. We can get to this, you can play with this, see what it does. But you can get to this later. This isn't important for initial setup. And then over here, you've got sort of your action buttons. You've got start streaming, stop recording, which would normally say start recording, but I'm recording right now, so it says stop recording. You've got studio mode. So basically this is a toggle. You can turn this on and off. So if I turn it off, then all you see is just the one big thing of what I'm actually sending out to the world, what I'm recording for this video. And if you turn studio mode back on again, we're back to this two-panel view that we had before. You've got the settings button, and you've got the exit button, which I'm not going to click for what should be obvious reasons. Okay, cool. Now we understand roughly what everything does. That was a bit of a whistle-stop tour. Don't worry too much about it. It's really easy to use once you've got the initial setup done. So, in order to get ourselves set up to stream some games to play for Planned Parenthood, we are going to make a new scene. So, back over to the scene section on the left-hand side, and we're going to click this plus button here, which is add. And I'm going to call this For Planned Parenthood Setup. I'm going to learn to type first too. Okay, right. So on the right hand side, again, we've got what I am recording, stroke broadcasting, stroke sending to the world. On the left hand side, we have got the thing that I am setting up. So we've got our folder created, and as per previous, we are going to add things to our folder. So play for Planned Parenthood, kind of an inherent gaming bias there. let's do that. So let's add a game. So here we are in our sources section, and we are going to click the add button. It's gonna work. And now see, you've got lots of different things here. Most of these you're never gonna have to worry about, so don't. What we're looking for here is a game capture. We're going to capture a game, so the best way to do that is to do a game capture. Most games will work this way. There'll be the odd one or two that doesn't, and if you come across one that doesn't, reach out to me via the Play for Planned Parenthood group on Facebook, and I'll be able to help you out with getting that set up. But the majority of games will work like this. So we're going to hit game capture. Create a new game capture source. Wow, that's something exceedingly tall. And so I tend to call them descriptively by the game that I'm playing so that I can easily remember which is which. And so I'm going to call this one WoW. I play a lot of WoW, so seems legit. Okay, so within a game capture, you can do various things. You can capture any full screen application, or you can capture a specific window. I tend to prefer to capture a specific window because then I'm really sure that it's the game I want. So you can see here, it can kind of read your different processes. It can see what's happening. So you can see I've got like Spotify running, I've got a volume mixer running, I've got various Google Chrome tabs running. But the one we're looking for here is World of Warcraft. Fortunately, it's at the top. How convenient is that? I wish that I could say I'd done that deliberately, but I haven't. And so window match priority is like, how is it deciding whether the window that you're broadcasting is the one that you were after? And in this case, it is based on executable name. I would strongly recommend leaving it that way. The default settings in OBS Studio are generally pretty good. So as a rule, leave the default. Okay, so executable name, that's what you want. I'm gonna hit OK, and ta-da, magical, we've got World of Warcraft here. Now, because my World of Warcraft is currently in windowed mode to allow me to do this without completely messing up my game settings, the size is a little funky. So I can fix it by basically making it bigger, and so it's actually larger than my screen now, but it sort of looks good. And most of the time, if you're playing a game in full screen mode, you're not going to have this problem, so I'm not going to spend an overly long time talking about it. All right, so we've got our game. Our game is in there. My paladin is both dancing cheerfully and sitting sadly, and obviously if I click over into WoW and make my paladin do some stuff, we see her doing some stuff. We can hide the UI, we can spin her around, we can look at her. Great, good, awesome, cool. So we successfully have a game in there. Next up, we are going to add an overlay. So overlays are things which you put over top to give yourself a good layout, to show your stream off well, kind of make stuff look good. For the sheer basics, like, this is good. We've got a game, we've got our audio going on. This is just fine. Like, we can put this on the internet right now, but we want to get a little more fancy. Erin Ali has made some fantastic overlays using her amazing art creativity skills. And so I'm going to use one of those. All right, so how do you do that? Right, let me click the add button, and an overlay is an image. They don't have to be, but in this case they are. So here we go. I'm going to add a new image. I'm going to call it overlay 1, and I'm going to browse, and here we are. Funny enough, because I was looking at these earlier, there they are again. And I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to hit open, and you can see the image is here. Why is it gray here? Because these are empty. That's important. These are empty boxes. There's no color, there's no solid color in them. These are completely empty. Good. That's what we wanted. All right, so hit OK, and it automatically sized it to be the correct size. Isn't that wonderful? All right, so you can see here that we've actually got the overlay and we've got WoW in 2 windows. Now, if I'm playing WoW, I'm running around with my paladin, this looks really weird. Not only can you not see a good chunk of my screen, but also you're seeing my WoW in 2 separate windows. That's not really what we want, so let's fix it. Okay, so let me draw your attention down here to the sources section. So you've got overlay 1, remember we called it overlay 1, and you've got WoW, remember we called WoW WoW? Okay, good, you're following me. So these are in a specific order. Overlay 1 is above WoW. Now, if I were to move WoW to be above overlay 1, now it's quite literally above overlay 1 in your video. So we want the overlay, it's called overlay for a reason, so we want that to be on the top. So that means that we need to adjust the size of WoW, and I think WoW should go in this big window here. You might not agree with me, that's fine. But let me show you how to do this. So in the sources section, we're going to select the source we want to make a change to, which in this case is WoW. So you can see here that I'm moving it around, and I want to make it smaller so it fits in that window. So the way I tend to do this is make it really small, fit one corner, and then pull it out until it fits. Now remember how I said earlier about how, because of the way I have it set up right now, my WoW is a slightly weird size? Well, there we go. Okay, so there's also the option here to do things like deform the window size. When you're dragging using the corner like this, it's maintaining what's called the aspect ratio. So how tall something is to how wide it is the aspect ratio. If I want to, I can grab one of these middle ones here, which again normally would maintain the aspect ratio, and I can hold down shift and squish my WoW, squish the WoW. Not generally a good idea. I wouldn't recommend that. And so now it's kind of a funky shape. So let's not do that. Oops, I selected off it. There we go. All right, and you can also crop it. So I can crop, select, I can crop my WoW. She says, there we go, I can crop. It helps if you push the Alt key before you move the mouse. So I can crop my WoW down. So if we only want to see a little bit of my paladin, we can do that. Okay, but none of these things is what I want to do. I just want to have my WoW be the right size to fit in this window. So what I'm actually going to do is make it a little bit too big. And it will fit roughly within this window. So I'm actually going to hold the Alt key and I'm going to crop it down. Go. So now it fits just within that window. It's not quite centralized, but again, when you're playing a normal full screen game, you're not going to have this problem. So I'm not overly concerned. So now WoW is within that window. Looks good, right? So I can hit that transition button and then what will be on the video is my WoW in that window. Great, awesome. But what about that sad black window on the left-hand side? So this is where I would put a webcam. Now, I've been talking to you on a webcam for a little while, so you can tell that I'm not like camera shy particularly or anything like that, but it's definitely not obligatory to have a webcam. You do not have to have a webcam. Lots of streamers do, lots of streamers don't. Many people, there's lots of successful streamers who never even used a webcam. They go to TwitchCon and no one really understands who they are because you can't see their face. And then they do a panel at TwitchCon and everyone recognizes them. But if you want to use a webcam, you want to go out and buy a webcam, I would strongly recommend the Logitech C920. It's what I'm using right now, so I'm talking to you on. It's really solid, it has good color balance, makes you look pretty, as pretty as I can, and it's cheap. They were on Amazon recently for less than $50, so they're a really, really solid starting webcam. Anything by Logitech, preferably C920 or newer, is just great. They make really, really solid cameras for really reasonable prices. So again, we're going to add a webcam. So again, we've got our folders down here. It's within the P4PP setup folder, and we're going to click that add button, and we're going to add a video capture device. So you can see that I've got my existing C920 that I'm talking to you on right now here on the add existing section. So once you've added a video capture device anywhere to OBS Studio, it sort of remembers it, so you can easily pull it into other places. Now, I went and found an old crappy webcam in order to show you this, and it is a C910. Not a webcam I would recommend you go out and buy. It's not the worst webcam in the world, it's just not a great one. So C920, much cooler. But in order to show you how to add a webcam, I plugged in a second webcam to my computer, and here it is. Okay, so you can see that it's a lot less nice than the other one. But you've got here the selections, so C910, C920. We want the C910 because we're already using the C920. And we've got various configuration options here. Again, as a general rule, just leave it as the default. So yeah, cool. Okay, done. Hit the OK button. Right, so now we've got this C910 ugly webcam. And so this is the ugly webcam, this is the pretty webcam, and we need to put it behind the overlay. So again, remember, looking down here in the scene section, we've got the overlay and the C910, and we need to move the overlay up. Okay, cool. Now all you can see is my face. Oops, I did it wrong. Move that back down again. Cool. Okay. So now we're going to select the C910, and we're going to flip it around, and we're going to position it so that it makes sense in terms of the overlay. And we can maintain the aspect ratio, make it smaller, and generally drop it in there. We can, because this is really tall, it's what's called 4:3, we can crop it down to make it less tall. You can see that green line, which indicates that I'm cropping it. And then we can stick it in here. We can make it a bit bigger, and there we go. So in general, when you're positioning your webcam, it's kind of good practice to make sure that, like, you know, the top of your head is near the top of the thing. You can see how I've got mine set up in both of these two places now, where the top of my head is kind of at the top of the screen. That's generally a good idea. You can also, you know, ideally your background is not overly fussy. Like this isn't the background I would choose if I was streaming, quite honestly. It's a room. That's not ideal. Like preferably you'd have something like looks decent behind you rather than half of a bed and some posters. But that's what I've got, so it's fine. I'm sticking to it. All right. So now we've got our webcam here, and we've got our game here, and we can play our game. People can see us play our game while we talk on the internet about how we're playing our game. Life is good. And I can hit this wonderful transition button, and I can transition the ugly webcam and the gameplay onto the main video, and then I can go back and we can see how the sausage is made. Cool. Okay, so that's kind of a pretty good basic setup right there. You've got your gameplay, you've got your webcam in place, and you're pretty good to go. There's some other more advanced tweaks you can make, but for a basic streaming setup, you're basically there. And again, if you don't want to use a webcam, Erin has been good enough to put together various overlays. You can see them here that, you know, don't need you to use a webcam. Like these ones here, they basically don't have that second window for a webcam in it. So if you want to still have that awesome Play for Planned Parenthood branding, but you don't want to have a webcam, totally fine. You're not doing the wrong thing. And you can just use one of these other ones here that don't have the two gaps for the webcam itself. Awesome. All right, so that is a basic stream setup, and I'm going to come back to you in the next section, because this one's going way too long for editing purposes, and talk to you about how to do some different scenes, why to do different scenes, and what are good approaches to that. See you in a second. Okay, welcome back. It's me again. Okay, so in the last section of this video, we set up what you see here on the left-hand side, and boom, transition. I put the pretty webcam in this one because I was tired of looking like a sallow, sad, dead person. So we've got me on here, and we've got our game in there. Everything is going swimmingly, and then we go back to how the sausage is made. Okay, so in the break, in the meantime, suddenly instant doing things, I also set up a different layout, which means that you don't have this large box here. So Erin has done this, it's awesome. Here's the schedule. So what this allows you to do is make an image that has your schedule on it, and then you can actually just pop that in there. So let's say that I had the great thing about OBS, look, let me just bring this over here so this is more obvious. This is a window full of images and things. Just set it over this side. And you can just drag and drop. Okay, boom, I just put a thing in there. So let's say that this isn't this awesome button that Erin made. It's in fact my schedule. So I can just drop this in here. And now I have this awesome button as my schedule, and I can hit the transition button, and then we can see my schedule there below the thing where it says schedule. And I can then make it go away again. I can say, bye, this image, remove. Yes, I do want to remove image 4 because you know what? I decided I didn't like it. So what if you don't want to do that? What if that's a little bit too complicated? That's just fine. So the other thing that you can do is use one of these other overlays here. You can see them, these ones here, which are just a very simple banner at the top or bottom. They're very straightforward. They don't have this additional gap for the webcam, but you can still use one within it. So I wanted to show you how to do that. So I grabbed my game and I grabbed one of those overlays. You can see it here. It's actually just called image 3 right now because I drag and dropped it, and I should rename it to overlay 2. And you can see here that I've got the overlay and I've got my WoW within that. I can hide the WoW, I can hide the overlay. So if I want to have this more simple setup when I am playing a game, which is, you know, it's me playing a game, trying not to fall off this rock, then where should I put my webcam? Good question, me. So most games, well, most games that I've played at least, tend to have a chat thing down here. So I say chat, and it pops up both in the middle and down there on the left hand side. And that's why most people have their webcam in the screen in this position, which you can see I've got it over here on the one I'm recording that I'm showing to you. So let's do that. So let me go back into here, and I'm going to add the video capture device. And we already added the video capture device. We've got our add existing C920. Oh my god, it's so giant. Let's fix that. And then let's use Alt, slide it in, crop out the kitty. And then we can pull it down to here, and then we make it smaller. And what I'm looking for it to do is basically just to cover up this chat box here. You can see there's a chat box there. Let me transition this so you can actually see it. You can see there's a chat box there. And then we want to sit me over top of that. And that's why most of the time you see people having their cameras over the bottom left-hand side of the screen. Okay, cool. So we sat me over that chat box. And now we're like, okay, cool, we did it. Doesn't look too bad. Good job, Olivia. Oh, wait, no, the pink banner. Yeah, it's underneath it. It's not so good. Okay, so let's fix that. How do we fix that? We're going to put the overlay above the webcam. Now, there we go. Pretty straightforward. I mean, this doesn't look quite as sexy as this one, but, you know, if you don't have something to put here, or you don't want to do that, you feel like you'd rather not have this much text, you want to make your game bigger in the window, that's just fine. This one works just fine. And you could probably do some fun, intelligent things around making your webcam look better than mine does right now by, you know, repositioning it. Oh God, that's not what I wanted to do. Repositioning the webcam so that you've got more of your hairdo in it, that kind of thing. But basically that's the large reason why people put their webcam on the bottom left-hand side, is just to make sure that it goes over top of chat. So, all right, now we need to go back to desktop capture and transition this in so you can actually see what's going on. Okay, so just again, show you this again, because I just realized I did it wrong. So this, you know, we've got this here, and the reason that people put it there is to sit it over the top of the chat. So you just can't see, you know, if someone sends you a rude message on the internet, you don't want to necessarily have that on your stream. So let's not do that. Let's just cover up our chat with the box here. And again, like when I talked then, I had speech bubbles on. Most games don't have speech bubbles on, or don't have a speech bubble settings that you can turn it off. It's probably a good idea to do that sort of thing, just so you're a little bit more protected from people coming on your stream and using speech bubbles to say rude words or that kind of thing. Within WoW, it's a setting. I just don't happen to have it turned on right now. Within most games, there's a way to either hide that or turn it off. So that might not be a bad idea. All right, so we've got our webcam and our game, or our webcam and our game with two different setups here. So what else should we add in order to have a good streaming experience? One of the things I definitely recommend, particularly if you are going for the whole hog 24-hour stream thing, stay hydrated, eat food, take breaks. This is important. Maintain your sanity and your health while you're streaming. So what should we do for that? We should have a sort of AFK, what's called a slate, which takes up the whole of your screen. So again, we are going to make a new scene. We're going to click the plus, and then I tend to call them by what I want them to be. So AFK is for when I'm going AFK, you know, this is all pretty straightforward stuff. So we made an AFK. Again, we're back to this position we were in before, where on the right-hand side is what I'm recording for you guys, on the left-hand side is nothing. Okay, great. So again, wonderful, wonderful Erin has made us some awesome AFK things. This is going to be the easiest one. So here we go. We're going to drag and drop. Whoop, boop. And we're going to embiggen. Why has this not worked? Okay, I think this is Dropbox. All right, so let's try this again. Video banners. During event. I think that this has grabbed the bloop. There we go. All right, this is what we wanted. Okay, so now we're going to drag and drop this one in, and it's going to be the right size. That was my mistake. Okay, cool. Remove the wrong one. And so this one is basically a banner. And we make it perfect size because Erin is awesome. It is exactly the right size. It's everything we ever wanted. It fills up our screen nicely. And, cancel. So this basically allows us to say, like, look, we're tired. We're taking a break. We've been streaming for a really long time, and we are going to transition into this. So now what it says is, currently taking a break, check the schedule below for the next Play For Planned Parenthood streaming session today. This allows you to just walk away from your computer, scratch your nose, you know, play with your hair, which I do constantly anyway, so don't stress too much about doing that sort of thing. Take a drink, that kind of stuff. Do remember, when you do this, when you transition over to this, like I'm going away from my computer, that it does not mute your audio. Do remember that. So definitely remember to either, you know, hit the mute button, or if you've got a hardware mute button on your mic, which is a button on the microphone itself that mutes it, push that, or down here in the mic/aux section of OBS, you can hit this. You see, you couldn't hear me then, and I was making all sorts of fun noises and you missed out. So you can hit this to mute your microphone in OBS, so you're no longer sending your microphone out to the internet. So yeah, just to recap there, this doesn't mute your microphone. You see, you can still hear me, doesn't mute your microphone. Please remember to mute your microphone. Like, you know, so many people have broadcast terrible sounds that they wouldn't want anyone to hear by accidentally not muting their microphone. Another thing that you can do here is if you have like some game sounds going or some music going, that will come through your desktop audio right here. So for sake of exhibition, I'm going to turn on my WoW game sounds briefly. So there you go, you see. There's some Orgrimmar music. And I can transition, and I can shut off my mic. And all you can hear is the Orgrimmar sounds, like just some good Orgrimmar music. And I'm going to mute that because that's going to cause me all sorts of video editing problems, and I just did that. Good job, Olivia. So that's your slate. And if the pink is a little bit too crazy for you, she's also done a fantastic dark look one. Copy and place, which is here. And there you go, a little bit more sort of like mellow, a bit more late night, so that you're not blinding your viewers with this incredibly bright banner when it's like 3 a.m. That's because Erin is awesome. So you've got this sort of night mode and you've got the day mode. She's also made some that are for before the event, which talk about the I'm sorry, I'm just grabbing them because the way I grabbed them didn't actually work, which talk about the different schedule before event. Come on, let's do this one. And so you can set this as your banner on your actual stream before the event starts. So it says, join me on March 4th at 10 a.m. PST rather than I am currently streaming. So again, these are all really straightforward to drop in. And you could drop this in, you know, with some music before you start your stream. It's generally good practice before you start your actual stream to sort of show a slate like this and play a little bit of music for a short time, just to give people a chance to get going. And remember, of course, that there's a 30-second delay on your stream. So anything you say, like let's say I say the word one, this word one will not get to the people on the internet for 30 seconds, basically. So when people are responding to you in chat, remember that there's that 30-second offset. That's just how Twitch works. It's kind of a safety thing. But yeah, just bear that in mind when you're talking with people and being like, wait, why is no one listening to me? It's because everyone's 30 seconds offset from you. That's what's going on. Cool, so now we've got our first one, we've got our one with the more simple setup, which doesn't have the schedule place here, and we've got our AFK scene. Are there any other things we should set up? Sure, I mean, if we want to play a different game, we could add a different game in here. We could like get rid of WoW and show a different game. We can do exactly the same in this one. We can add as many games into here as we like, and we can do more AFK banners, we can do more detail information. Basically, when you're setting up scenes, the sky is the limit and the world is your oyster. There's some other more complicated stuff we can do, which I'll get to later on in this video, which is getting exceedingly long at this point. But for your basic setup, you're basically done. So when I stream, I normally have the equivalent of one of these two, so gameplay plus webcam, and I have an AFK slate, which is, you know, it's not actually that one, it's this one, taking a break, and I basically have that, and that's it. That's enough for me and for most people. Like, you're either on and you're playing a game, or you're taking a break, or you're not on, in which case you're going to pull your stream down by hitting stop streaming. So at this point, you're basically done. Now, if you want to be handling donations, if you want to be having some like fun little alerts, anything along those lines, that's what I'm going to be getting to in the more advanced section of this video. But if this is what you want, then you are done. Congratulations. If you want to watch the advanced bit, stop back in just a second. Alright, so we've set up OBS, we've set up our Twitch page, and last but not least, let's talk about the donation side of things. This is meant to be an event for charity after all, so getting hold of those donations and handling them well is going to be an important part of our setup here. So, the way that most streamers handle donations is through a service it's currently called Streamlabs, used to be called Twitch Alert, and it's kind of the main way that people run donations on their streams. So let's go ahead and show you how to set that up. Alright, so here I am on streamlabs.com. And you can see I'm already logged in on Twitch, and I am going to hit login here, and I'm going to hit connect with Twitch. And normally there'd be a little pop-up here that says please confirm that you want to allow Streamlabs to access your information. You would say yes if you wanted to, and it's going to have a hard time if you don't. And so you're going to want to make sure that you hit authorize on that, and if you want to disconnect it later, you can always do that via the settings page on Twitch. So first up, you would like to do donations. So you want to go into your donation settings. And at this point, I'm just going to hide the webcam real quick, just so we've got the full page visible. Cool, there we go. Good job, me. All right, so donation settings. And you can see here that I've already hooked up my PayPal to it, so that PayPal will be the way that my donations are handled. You've also got other options here, credit cards, so direct credit card payments. If you're in Russia or other parts of Europe, you might want to use Unit Pay. And then there's various other options down here. The settings are for the one that you have selected, US dollars, direct it's set automatically. And this one here is important because this is your donation URL. So when you hit that, you can see here it's going to open up this sort of page, and you've got various settings here. So I've got my banner here, which is like the awesome art that Erin did. This is all the defaults, by the way. I've made no changes to this at all. So this is very, very easy to set up. But you're going to want to take this URL, go back over to your Twitch page, and go into the edit panels. And in the panels we set up earlier, the one that is specific to your donation, you're going to want to set to be this link. So this one here is the one that is the donation, and you're going to want to put that link in there and hit submit, and then turn off edit panels. And now when someone hits this, they're going to go straight to your donation page, so they can handle their donation. And this is going to put their Twitch username in it. Currently it has mine because I'm logged in as me. They've got the amount there, and they can also put a message in here if they want to. So that is the basic donation setting, and that is, you know, all you need to do on the initial donation page. What other cool stuff can you do? So you can set up a donation goal. So here under my account, we've got a donation goal setting. So let's say we want to set a donation goal for For Planned Parenthood, and we want to say it's $300. Our starting amount, unless we've got initial donations in already, is 0. And we've got the end date, let's say Sunday for the sake of argument. Start donation goal. Awesome, we did it. And so now what's really cool is that you can get a little widget to put this into your stream. So you can have